your art career, get you selling consistently better than you ever have before. And some of you are like, what the heck do you guys even do? We always get a huge range on these calls. Um, Ordinarily, I have like kind of like a pre-prepared presentation. Sometimes I show a video, but today I feel like, we've had so much like change and evolution for us at Art Storefronts as a business over the last like 6 months that I'll kind of just rant a little bit about some of that, kind of cue you guys in on what all it is that we do, and then we can open it up for Q&A. But I would say that, we've been in business for almost a decade now, and we have over 8,000 customers, quite a few that have been with us, for a good like 5 or 6 years. And it's been really interesting, like sort of the evolution that we've taken as a business. And ultimately, our business is about creating successful customers, about helping artists and photographers grow their business and become more profitable. And it turns out when that happens, we don't have to do as much marketing because you guys tell all your friends, hey, this service is awesome. They're really helping my career. Things are going really, really well for me, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so we've been through like this huge evolution as a business. We started out, we had the best websites for selling art and photography that existed. And we're like, okay, this is going to be awesome. We're going to have a wonderful business. And turns out that's not the case. None of you guys have a website problem. You have a marketing problem. And so when you have a nice website, you could be the Ferrari of websites, doesn't matter. If no one's coming to it, it makes zero difference whatsoever. So we started out saying, hey, okay, we're going to have this amazing business. We're going to build this incredible website, and that'll be wonderful. So we built the incredible websites, and then we realized no one's going to hang around. How are we going to make them successful? The website's not going to do it. So we realized there was a marketing problem. So we started working on the marketing problem. And that started out early on us developing sort of the best DIY, learn at your own pace. Here's how you run a sale. Here's how you do email marketing. Here's how you run Facebook ads. Here's how you go live on Instagram and Facebook at the same time, teaching all these various different marketing things. So we're like, okay, this is going to be great. Now we've got the greatest website platform ever. Now we have this incredible marketing education, and everyone is just going to read it and then do it, right? No, not enough. Not even close to enough. No one likes learning on their own in a vacuum, DIY, just go take the course. Like, the stats on like the number of people that order online courses on this, that, or the other, Kajabi, Masterclass, any of the rest of them are terrible. It's like 30% of the people that start the courses finish them, right? Because nobody likes learning in isolation. Nobody likes learning in a vacuum. It's just not a good way to learn. So next evolution, we're like, okay, I'll know what we'll do. We'll start basically like an in-house university that only teaches creatives how to grow a business and all of the mechanics, all of the education on how to actually take a creative talent, turn it into a business. None of the things that were ever taught in school and should have been taught in school. And we started running Zoom classes, kind of like this one, for our customers. We still do like 3 days a week. And those helped out a bunch. And we're like, okay, if we just do that, then we'll get there. And it turns out that's not enough, because just because you have the best website in the world, just because you have the best, here's how you do X, Y, and Z marketing, learn on your own, come to the classes where we teach the various different things, right? And you'll get better and better and better, and you can ask questions, and that'll be great, right? No, it turns out that wasn't enough. Then, and I'm basically using all of this to tell you kind of like where we've evolved to as a business today, and then I'll get into some more substantive stuff. Then we realize is that all of you guys, really need solid support, right? And when I say support, you need everything from opening tickets and support, like most people think of it, like chat and Zoom calls and phone calls and all of those things to help you when you get stuck with the website or when you have a printing issue or whatever it is. But then also you need support on Facebook, you need support on Instagram, you need support with your email program. So we started doing all of that. Then also it turns out you need all the emotional support, because being an artist is an extremely lonely task. All of you guys are solopreneurs, and I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I know how that goes. It's an up down roller coaster. And that was like the next biggest discovery that we had as a business, is like, okay, how can we support our customers, encourage our customers, okay, hold our customers accountable to be doing their marketing, to be doing it consistently, to be doing the things that they've never done consistently throughout their art business. Sometimes cajoling, sometimes bribery, sometimes harassment, all in a very extremely good-natured way. And will that get our customers marketing more consistently and all the time? And that proved to be actually like a huge breakthrough because, again, every single solitary year, you guys left to your own devices without the support, without the accountability, without the encouragement, right? Without the community. You end up treating your marketing of your art, your photography, like you do would a New Year's resolution, right? Where we all start out in the beginning of January, really, really excited about this going to be our year. We're really going to do a great job. And then you do it really, really hard for like a month and a half, and then nothing happens, and you're like, I quit. Rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? And we've seen that year after year after year after year. So the next evolution, we realized that turns out artists and photographers do not want to read Web Design for Dummies. They don't want to know HTML or CSS or GoDaddy or any of that technical nonsense whatsoever. In fact, they could live the rest of their lives and never have to worry about a website ever again and be much happier individuals, right? So we're like, okay, done. Here's what we'll do. Not only will we give you the website, we will build it for you. We will build the entire thing from start to finish. In addition to that, we will not only build the website for you, but we will maintain it for you for life for free, meaning you do not ever have to do anything. You come out with new series, you need to change a page, you need to edit language. You're not doing any of that anymore, period. And Harold, the audio's on your end. I'm going to leave Harold a message because he's like, I can't hear anything. It's on your end, Harold. All right. So that's where we got to next. And those two offers, we will build your website for you, and then we will maintain it for life. We released those sort of in the last like 3 months, like, towards the fourth quarter last year. And I feel really, really good about those because I know in both cases, the less that my customers have to monkey around and mess around and learn technology that is always changing and cumbersome and annoying, the more time that they're going to have to create and the more time that they're going to have to sell. So our next latest and greatest iteration on sort of this whole path, this whole evolution, website, education, running classes in person, all the encouragement and support, now building your website for you, now maintaining it for life. We now realize that there is some portion of your marketing, okay, by which I mean your social media posting and your emailing and how to run sales and how to do giveaways and some of these sorts of things that we don't need you to do, that we can actually do for you on your behalf. All you have to do is look at the various different things and say, okay, this is good, send it. Okay, this is good, and send it. So that is our latest and greatest advancement that we've just come out with in the last, like 2 weeks essentially. And we're very, very proud of it as an evolution because there are just certain delegatable tasks that you guys don't need to be involved in. And, you guys will never do it as consistently as we will. Just no chance, because I've seen over all of the years, we have this calendar that tells our customers what to do 365 days a year, when to market, how to run a sale. We're doing this. We're running a Valentine's Day sale. We're running a Mother's Day sale. We're doing a live art show this week, whatever it is. And I see, how consistently my customers follow all of that. And I realize that, they don't. Almost no one does. It's really, really hard to be consistent because lots of you guys have jobs. Lots of you guys have life. Life happens, right? You get tired, and these things don't get done. And the consistency is just such an important piece of the puzzle and being successful. So that is where we've gotten to as a business in terms of evolution, which is really, really exciting. So we are now doing a great portion of your marketing for you, which is pretty amazing. Now, it doesn't completely get you off the hook, okay? And can you guys see me, by the way? Someone's saying they can't see me. Oh, I see. You couldn't see me the whole time. That is so lame. Sorry about that. You guys can see me now, right? Unbelievable. I'm just it's a Monday. It's a Monday. Thank you for whoever just told me that, Susan. Appreciate that. So going back to it, yeah. So it doesn't mean you guys are off the hook for your marketing, okay? Every single solitary person on this call has a marketing problem. The marketing problem is not going away, but it just sort of shows you the evolution of where we've gone and what we're doing as a business. And, what's interesting in all of it is, like, we have a diverse and just wildly eclectic range of customers, right? 80% of our customer base has full-time jobs. 20% are full-time artists, full-time photographers. They're spread all out throughout the United States in a whole bunch of other countries as well. Every niche imaginable, every various different media type, every subject matter material you could imagine. Some are selling courses, some are teaching people how to paint, and everything in between. And one of the interesting things in this next phase with doing more and more of our marketing for our customers and doing it consistently is it puts you in a really, really interesting position, because what happens is you guys all have the subject matter material that you've created, and you're all trying to sell more of it. And where things break down in that whole process usually is you don't ever get the art in front of enough eyeballs to actually know whether or not it'll sell, and it'll sell consistently, to know what type of a product it is that you have on your hand, right? And what ends up happening is you create the art, then you go and get it in front of as many eyeballs as you can, and then you figure out, is this something that's going to sell extremely well? Is it something that's just going to sell okay? Or is it something that's not going to sell at all because it's just not good enough? And what ends up happening in that situation is, let's say your job is to create, get it in front of as many eyeballs as you can, find out whether or not it'll sell. If that whole thing is a process, everybody quits before they even get to the end of it. Or they get to the end of it and then they realize, like, maybe art doesn't sell. Maybe this was always going to be a hobby. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe you blame somebody for it or whatever else. And, you end up quitting, and then it's rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, right? And I've seen this year after year after year after year with so many of our customers. And I think one of the interesting things that they never taught you in art school is just because you created something and then you've taken it to market and then it doesn't particularly sell as well as you wanted it to, it doesn't mean you're a crappy artist, okay? It just means you potentially created something that the market didn't like. And I think one of the things that no one gets taught of enough, and I'm gonna pivot this back to the software, is like Picasso created 147,000 pieces throughout the course of his life. 147,000. I broke it down, 78-year career. Let's say he started when he was 16, so that's 62 years. He created essentially 2,383 pieces per year, 6.5 average per day. When Pablo Picasso died, he had 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. What did that guy know? You keep creating, and if it doesn't sell, it's not the end of the world, okay? It just means you created something that the market didn't want. So go and create again, get it in front of the eyeballs, and figure out something that does sell, right? And so why do I bring that whole story up? I bring that whole story up is because all of my customers are creating, and because they've never been taught like this whole thing is a process, a lot of times failure is an important step along the way. What I'm so excited about in this next evolution of our business is I'm going to end up taking thousands of my customers, thousands, I should say, running the same marketing for all of them in concert for the most part, right? There'll be some nuance. And then I'm going to get a look at the data and say, here's how many social media followers you had. Here's the size of your email list. Here's the various different things that we had you do. And here's how the art sold, right? Here's how the art sold. And here's how it sold in comparison to all of your peers. And depending on how it did, my customers are going to get feedback once and for all with certainty that you have something on your hands here or you don't, right? You have something that your audience is now demanding more of, that you could sell to this dollar amount, and you're good. Or do you have to go back to the drawing board and create something again because you've gone through this whole process and you haven't figured it out yet? So I'm perhaps more excited about that prospect, and about being able to get my customers creating, taking their product to market, figuring out whether or not they have something that will really, really, really sell. And if they do, fantastic, keep selling it. If not, go back to the beginning of the line and go through that whole process again. Because ultimately, that's how you're successful as a creative. And no one ever teaches that. And no one ever talks about that. No one ever talks about those Pablo Picasso stats, right? Like every time I give a lecture like this, somebody always brings up the Bee Gees. And I think it's interesting because I find artists, musicians, and to a lesser extent authors, all like sort of the same struggle, right? On how to be successful and how to actually grow a business out of your creations. And if you actually like look at the famous ones in history, they all, however they got there, understood this process of creation, market it, get it in front of enough eyeballs, figure out how well it'll sell. Maybe it's a home run, maybe it's not. If it's not a home run, guess what? That's all part of the process, how you get to a home run, right? Go get back in the line and go through that whole process again. And somebody always puts the Bee Gees in a comment, and it's like, Bee Gees were kind of before my generation a little bit. I know who they are, but I wasn't super into them or anything like that. But they wrote 1,030 songs, Out of the 1,030 songs, they had 15 top tens and 9 number one hits. So that's 15 out of 1,030 songs. 1.45% of their songs were a hit, right? You know, you study authors, and I'm super into Frank Herbert. I read a biography about him, and he's a guy that wrote the book Dune. They just made it into a movie. It's like the greatest selling science fiction book of all time, whatever. He wrote like 75, 76 books. Can anyone even name another one of his books that he wrote? No, not usually. And some of them he sold, some of them he didn't. You know, he had a bunch of jobs at a newspaper. So ultimately, where I'm going with all of this is that our job at Art Storefronts is to help our customers be successful as quickly, as judiciously as possible, to the extent that their ambition is for their business, right? And so everything that we've done over the last, call it almost of a decade, is just bit by bit getting better and better and better at this process, and in empowering our customers to go down that whole entire path quicker and quicker and quicker, and not get stuck and continue showing up consistently day after day after day. So that underpins absolutely everything that we do as a business. That is where we are in our evolution currently, and I'm really, really excited for what this year portends, specifically as we move more and more of our customers onto this. We're calling it co-pilot, where you're still flying the plane, but you know, we're helping out. And how much quicker their businesses are going to grow, how much quicker they're going to be able to find out if the subject matter material that they're on right now is really going to work for them or not, right? And I would imagine the vast majority of you guys on this Zoom are in the exact same position they are. You have your work. You know you need to get it in front of more eyeballs. You have what you think is a giant market with whatever you have, but you probably haven't gotten enough feedback to know whether or not it'll actually sell or not sell. And then, you know, assuming it does sell, great. You keep selling it, and then you're always just going back in the process and seeing what new thing you can create that can potentially sell even better than everything else that you created. So enough of my ranting, blathering on. We'll start the questions with Robert today because he's had his hand up forever. And then I can go into questions with everybody else. Quickly, how does it work? If you're one of the brave ones that has your camera on and I see it, you can just raise your hand old school style and I'll be like, hey, they've got a question. I can bring you on like that. But if you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, you see there's this little smiley face reactions thing. If you push that, that gives you the ability to raise your hand digitally speaking. It won't show up on my screen, but it'll show up when you click your thing. And that lets me know you have a question. You can see Robert figured out how to do it, so his hand is up. So you can do that. If you don't want to turn your camera on, you don't have to turn your camera on, okay? I have a face for radio. If this wasn't my job, you wouldn't be seeing me, let me tell you. Yeah, I got you, Bart, don't worry. I'll get you in a second. So you can ask via audio, and then also to, you know, there is a chat box in here, and, you know, I can see the questions in there, so you can throw them in there too. And then we'll just kind of see where we go from there. So Robert, you're up first. You can go ahead and unmute.
Okay. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right. I've been doing art.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Art Education, a Master of Fine Arts in 1965.
Amazing.
I've done galleries. I've done the street markets, you name it. I have created probably in my lifetime and lost and redid 1,000 pieces so far.
Wow.
I'm 78 years old, and I generally create. I'm a painter. I did sculpture. I've made dinnerware. I've done it all. A little photography, but it's more hand contact, canvas, masonite, paper, whatever. What's interesting about artists, we're creators.
Yes.
Number one. The reason why I joined this group, Art Storefront, is because the concept that they have, this exposure to social media, is unbelievable. I'm just now getting started. My website is not even up yet. It's being built. But I can tell you what my senses are. My senses tell me that if done properly, and I know you're in a beta test on this co-pilot concept.
Mm-hmm.
If I get enough feedback, I know it's going to be successful. And the reason I know it's going to be successful is because I've been turning my paintings since I did sublimation printing about 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I follow that process. And I take my paintings, I make pillows, I make scarves, I make puzzles.
Yeah.
All the things you talk about, you call merchandise.
Yes.
I call creations from creations. I'm what's called a functional artist. I want people to live with my stuff, not just hanging on the wall.
So smart. So smart. Have you heard me rant about this? How passionate I am about this subject?
You know, I've heard you, but yes, I the piece behind me, for example,
Mm-hmm.
that's a print,
Yeah. Looks
6
beautiful.
foot by 6 foot, of a painting that was 16 by 20 inches,
Mm-hmm.
blown up, high pixelation,
Yeah.
done with a cell phone,
Wow.
cell phone 13. I have a pillow, I have a scarf, I have a cup, I have dinnerware. The more exposure you get, and I don't go by my name.
Mm-hmm.
I use my initials, RAN, R-A-N,
Mm-hmm.
Robert Allen Niemer.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do, every single piece I've done, I do a blog. And in the
Awesome.
blog, I include the piece of artwork, the pillow, and the scarf.
Yeah.
And what that does, and I highly recommend it. I started the blog for 2 reasons. I used to sketch like crazy.
Okay.
Then I would do a painting. And I decided, forget about sketching. I'm going to write about it first in my mind. I want to visualize what I'm going to do. So I started writing blogs. And what happened was the blog became the sketch in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I refer back to the blog when I'm working on painting. And I call my things, like I'm doing a painting now called faith. And what is faith to me? And what's interesting is people buy your artwork and they want to know you.
100%.
People don't understand artists. I grew up, and I've been doing this 7 decades. I grew up where I was shunned as an artist. I couldn't admit to myself I was an artist up until maybe 15 or 20 years ago, because artists are looked at as weird. They're different. And why are they different? They're creative. You're creators. That's the key. Remember, whatever you do, musicians, artists, writers, all creators. And you have an audience of people who want to see your creation and share your creation. So they need to know you. And I think the most important piece of my website is going to be my bio.
Always.
And the story of how I got started when I was 5 years old. I do another statement, I call it 7 decades of visual expression, which gives them a little more in depth. I'm currently, just so you know, I'm applying for a fellowship. And the fellowship is going to be a box built with all the different paintings and all the different sculptures and all the different dinner, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be shipped anywhere in the country, to any gallery, any community center. And I will do a Zoom. I will have the QR codes for every single piece hanging with me, explaining what they're looking at.
I love it.
I do abstract. I went from doing trees and, painting beautiful scenery. And then I figured out the camera does it far better than I can do it.
100% it does. By the way, do you love hearing somebody like in their late 70s talking about QR codes and like advanced marketing tactics, and he's talking about the Zoom video like behind him? You're just getting started too, Robert. I'm enthused.
You're talking to a guy who started the internet back in 1982. I worked for a company called MCI. They broke up AT&T.
Yeah.
And the reason we can do all this is because what we did back then. And I got turned down by every store in the country, and they're now all dying. They're all going out of business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do I understand the intricacies now? No, I've been so busy painting that I haven't kept up with the technology. And that's another thing I appreciate that you folks do.
Yeah. We're gonna get you completely dialed in, Robert. And you realize that this one's not for customers. We have separate sessions for you internally. This one this one is for people that haven't quite signed up yet. But I love that you popped into it. And
I can only tell you, if anybody that's listening hasn't signed up yet, do it. If you're true to your art and you are creative, don't be afraid.
You're awesome, Robert. I can't wait to see you on the inside. And we're gonna get that website up for you quickly, okay?
I'm working with Wendy. She's terrific. And I'm sitting in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We got snow coming, tons of it.
Yeah.
Person that's building my website is in Johannesburg, South Africa, Wendy.
I know, it's amazing. She's amazing too.
She's fabulous. So just like Nike says, just do it.
Love it. Thank you, Robert. You're awesome. We'll see you. We'll see you on the inside. God, there's so many different ways that I can go on that. Okay, someone who else had their hand raised? Now I lost his camera, and I know there's some other questions in here too. Someone had their hand raised. Where did you go? I think maybe you took off. It's so funny to me because, look, I'm a digital marketing guy by profession, and I love my digital marketing. Okay, I love it. There you are, Bart. I'll grab you in a sec. I love it and I enjoy it, but let me tell you, as soon as my career is done, I'm not going to be doing any more damn digital marketing. I'm through with it, right? I'm retiring. You guys don't have the ability to turn off your gift. It doesn't work that way. I had on one of these Zoom sessions a 93-year-old guy get on, tell his story, and then I had somebody else raise their hand, and I unmuted that person, and this guy was 96, and he goes, "Tell that damn kid," to the 94-year-old, "to keep going. I'm not quitting." And I see that, and I'm like, I'm so fired up by just the fact that, like, you got to have purpose at the end of your life to keep you going, to keep you motivating, to keep you grinding. And like everyone thinks like, oh gosh, I have no one on my email list and I have no social following. It's like, dude, it doesn't matter. It's you look at how much time that you have left. I mean, Robert's talking about QR codes in his 70s. I wouldn't even know what that kind of technology is in my 70s. So I'm encouraged by you guys on a regular basis, massively so, because you don't ever turn it off. Go ahead, Bart. Go ahead. And you'll need to unmute, Bart. I'll let you know when you get it.
Hey there, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, turning it off. What is even that?
Well, yeah, what does that even mean, right?
There is no turning it off. If you're a creative, it's just something that keeps spilling out, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And the more you try not to do it, the unhappier you get.
Yeah.
So my thing is trying to figure out how to I'm looking a little gray, but I have 2 young kids, so I've got a lot of bills. I've got mouths to feed and what have you. I do work 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job.
Wow.
So busy. Also raising kids, like I said. But I'm trying to figure out how to afford this, not to downplay what it is that you guys are doing. A bunch of the stuff I've got no freaking clue. I'm not a technological guy beyond playing games on my computer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn Krita at the moment, which is like, oh my god.
No, I know. I know. There's a great many of you that are in that situation, and it's interesting, right? Because I always argued for the contrarian approach, which is like, look, the whole world's changed, right? The gallery model is dead. First of all, the gallery model is utterly, totally, and completely predatory in the sense that you make sales and then you don't understand who's purchasing your work. When you don't know who's purchasing your work, you cannot market to those people in perpetuity. You stand no chance on them ever becoming a collector, and a collector is the greatest force multiplier of this entire business. A collectors stretched out over time are the base salary of a business. It's the 401k, it's the retirement account. Anyway, independent of all that, there's no other, where I was going with that is like, you have to learn, right? Like we essentially have to look at this like, we are all of us fishermen. The fish are attention, which we're all after and what we need. We have to get up in the morning, go down to the boat, and drive the damn boat to where the fish are. Right now, they're on social media. They're there. I didn't create those rules. That's where the fish are hanging out. So we're going to teach you how to do that, right? We're going to do a whole bunch of that for you, but we have to be contrarian about it. And no, it doesn't mean you have to tell people what you had for lunch on some stupid social media update, but you have to market in those spaces, right? And we teach you how to do that and how to get better at that. But make no mistake about it, it's painful early on. The first like year or two is painful. And, you know, other people in this company might sugarcoat it. I don't. I tell all of you guys, like, look, you're going to be pulling your hair out of your damn head. You're going to get more gray hair, right? But guess what? Every day you start getting better. Every day you start doing it more consistently. We help you get there more consistently. And then what ends up happening? You do the one thing that none of you guys want to do ever, which is the marketing. And it turns out that that is the highest ROI thing that could exist in this business. And that's just how it is. It is what separates the artists that make it versus the ones that don't. Like, as far as I'm concerned, and I should mention, I have been running 3 of these things a week for 3 years straight now. I swear to God, I've talked to more artists and photographers, creatives of every stripe, age, demographic across this country, others. Almost no one, less than 0.2% of artists are making something approaching a living over 6 figures a year through the gallery model. So true through the marketplace model. The only way to make it are the ones that are grinding out the show and thayer circuit, you know, doing like 30 or 40 or 50 a year, right? Or the ones that are selling direct and marketing direct and slowly building this. And that's it. And that's it. I don't know what other way to make it. And so, like, why should we sugarcoat it? What other path exists for you guys to make it? This is what we have to do. So our job is to make you as good at it as possible, as quickly as possible, and then hold your feet to the fire to say, I know how frustrating the first damn year is. Don't worry. We're going to get you there. We're going to hold your hand. We're going to keep you accountable. There's going to be, you know, encouragement. There's going to be community, good-natured harassment from you every once in a while where I'm like, hey, how come you haven't run a sale this week, right? Like, we're all running a sale. Why haven't you done it? Like, that's just how we do it. It's how we do it all year long. So to get to the meat of your question, we do have financing plans. You can talk to somebody about that, and they can walk you through what the options are. Otherwise, save up and just listen to my podcast and try to start doing some of the work now. The good news is you're going to blink and you're going to be as old as Robert, right? Like, you know when your like phone sends you like, I use Google Photos on mine. Some people maybe use like the Apple one, where it's like sends you the thing and it's like 9 years ago today you were doing this. It's like 9 years ago. That wasn't 9 years ago. That was yesterday, right? Like the time goes so quickly. So if we can just get you guys marketing somewhat consistently, by which I mean, like, look, you might only have the season of life you're in right now. Bart, I have 2 small kids. Trust me, I know. You might only have an hour a week to give, 2 hours a week to give. My position is that if I can get you giving me those 2 hours a week for the next 2 years, you are going to be in a significantly better place when life starts getting a little bit easier with the kids, right? Does that ever happen? I don't know. Sure. But, you know, there's seasons. So that's the whole point. So that's what I would say.
All right. So who would I talk to about the possibility of payment?
Yeah. So just somebody from the outreach team will call you. We have those demo request, forms all over the site. You just fill one of those things out and somebody will call you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Appreciate it.
So Tim's asking, so how does our storefront scale you? Oh, scale as you add artists. Yeah. Great question, Tim. We have basically like an army of people that are helping, and our software is very good at helping. And, the economies of scale of doing more of the same for our customers is really pretty compelling. We're getting better and better and better at it. And again, like, we can just do things better than our customers can in terms of this marketing execution that we've been doing. And the number one thing that even my customers, like that I'm constantly encouraging, teaching, and everything else, is like, you don't understand consistency. The consistency is the entire ball game. It's everything. It's how this entire operation runs. And the artist or the photographer that wins is the one is consistent. That's it. Period. End of sentence. And so I'll tell my customers, like, hey, we're gonna run a sale, okay? And I have this sale that we have them run coming up. Artists and photographers hate the name of this thing, but just hear me out. Do you know what I call it? The bathroom art flash sale. And everyone sees that and they're like, oh, what is wrong with you, bathroom art? The reason that we run a bathroom art flash sale is because everyone has a bathroom. And you are saying, this is not art for everywhere. This is art for your bathroom. And you can buy, and I have them arrange them in little series, because a lot of times people buy smaller pieces, like 1 and 2 in a bathroom. And instead of trying to, be everything to everybody, it is a specific sale just for this particular room in our house that we all have, and that, pretty much everyone could use some new art in. And so I get my customers to run that sale, and then I go and I look at all of their various different sites, and I look at the emails, and a lot of them just don't do it. I got busy. I had this other thing going on. And that's where we realize, like, guess what happens when we run it for you? It's getting done. No matter what, it's getting done. And so that will continue to be how it goes with everything else. So Tim, I hope that answers your question. I might even unmute you and see if that answered your question or not. I don't know if it didn't. I'll unmute you, Tim, if you want to ask a follow-up, you can. Yeah, and go ahead, Tim. You're unmuted. Oh shoot. You're unmuted, Tim, but I can't hear you, which means you probably have the wrong microphone selected. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom window, there's like a little up arrow to the right of the microphone. I'll let you play with that. All right, so yeah, Daniel, you get the bathroom flash art sale, right? Like, it's amazing. It's an amazing concept, and no one ever thinks of the end destination, right? Everyone's just like, oh, buy all my art, 20% off site wide. No, when you actually like plant the mind in your customer's head, like, hey, this is where this is going. This is the end product of this. You'd be surprised at how like incredible that is. All right, Libby, you've got a question. You want to ask it, Libby? I'm unmuting you. I know you had questions.
No, I just wondered if you had gone. There's a lot of questions that have come up, I think, that are good questions. As far as, do you have an example of any of the sites that you've prepared that we can take a look at?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we normally do is we have like when you get on the phone with our outreach team, they will send you an email that has like a bunch of sites on them. But I can show you one here. I can pull one up in a second. We can take a look at it. What's interesting about the way that we do our websites is, and you're going to make me do a little bit of a rant here, but it's really, really important to me. What is the best way to buy art and photography? It's in person, face to face, number one. But number two, it's in an art gallery. And what do we know about art galleries? Or you could also say a museum. Do you notice how every single solitary art gallery and/or museum all looks the same? White walls, the art, some lights, nothing else, right? Nothing else. The art is front and center. And so our website design ethos and philosophy is, your job when you create a website is to make the website look as close as possible to an art gallery experience. And yet when I look at most artists' websites, what do I see? Goofy moving things, different colors, giant fonts, music playing, different pages. It would be a miracle if I ever saw the art in most cases. And so all of that to say, our websites are very, very simple, minimally designed. The art is front and center. And then obviously we've got a slew of features that cater exactly to wall art, right? I kind of like the Johnny Depp one, so I'll look at the Johnny Depp one. So this call is just basically like, hey, the purpose of this call, like, hey, these art storefronts guys, do they know what they're doing? Do they know what they're talking about? Do I trust them? We do a demo process. We have sessions like this on Wednesday and Friday this week, or if you fill out a demo, you can get one-on-one where they walk you through like all the steps, all the various different websites, all the things that you can do and everything else. So I usually don't get super into it on these calls, but we have a myriad of features that are all custom tailored to selling art. And you could see in Richard's case, we have like a bunch of merch and everything else that you can activate instantaneously. We had print on demand, but the websites themselves are extremely, extremely simple, all white, minimalist. Everything else falls to the background. You need a grid of images. You need an about me statement, and you need to be able to take credit card, and you need to be able to offer your work on a bunch of different media types. You do that, and then you just get into the marketing problem. But I can send you an email, Livy, with all the various different examples if that would make things easier. Did I not even have this up on my screen? I can't tell if I do or if I don't. Oh yeah, I did. So does that help? Okay, cool. Thank you, Livy. Yeah, Tim, we have a feature called, let me see if I can show that too. So he's asking about virtual reality. Virtual reality, in my estimation, is utterly, totally, and completely nonsense, at least for right now. And I say this fully as someone that has I have a virtual reality headset right over here, where I think art is going to make, and I'm pulling up the post here so I can show you. Augmented, here it is. Okay, good. Where I think art makes a bigger impact in the short term is augmented reality, which is the feature that we have. I should probably pull this up. So our augmented reality feature allows your potential customers to come to your website, and it'll show it on here in a second, with their cell phone, all right? No applications to install, nothing. And they can be on your site. Well, the video shows it here. They can be on your site. They can pick the piece, right? They can look at the normal wall preview. Okay, great, wonderful. But what we also have is this button on here that says live preview with augmented reality. And what it does is it takes, it's going to show it here in a second. I'm just going to fast forward it so we don't have to wait. Okay, so this is actually showing it in real time on the right-hand side. So picture someone with either an iPhone or an Android comes to your website. And what they're really trying to figure out is, what is this piece going to look like on my actual wall, right? Like, is it going to match with my color? What size do I need to get it in? What does that all look like? And so there's a button, live preview with augmented reality. And what it does is it takes the image on your website and it inserts it as a layer in augmented reality in their camera, right? And so they can be holding the phone up on their wall, right? And then they can have the piece, they can move it around, they can adjust it up in size, adjust it down, see whether or not it's going to work, show it to the significant other, get the buying decision, and done. So we have what's called augmented reality, and it's very, very helpful for consultative selling. It's very, very helpful to get sales over the line. And so that's what we have. And the best part about it is, like, no one wants to download a stupid app, right? And I can take a screenshot. Anyway, so that's what we have. We have augmented reality, which I think is the better of the two. Yeah, so it's all right, Eliza's asking me, can you let us know the typical difference in sales once you get involved? I don't know what do you mean by that, Eliza? I'm going to try to unmute you. See if you can give me some follow-up on that. Are you there, Eliza? Yep, gotcha.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
It's Elisa.
Lisa, sorry.
I was just wondering, what's the difference? Like, you come in, let's say I'm only selling, I don't even know how much, and then how do you change? Like, I guess I want to know, like, how successful can you really make us be?
Ooh, I love
What
that.
is the typical?
Yeah, I love that. I love that question. So total crystal ball question, right? The various different versions of the question that you're asking me is, how many hours a week do I have to put into my marketing? What are the best selling media types? If I just know what the best selling media types, I can ask that in. How quickly will I earn back my investment? Or what is the best selling subject material if I just know what that is? And underpinning that question is a premise that there's some sort of magical formula that works for all artists and photographers. Nothing can be further from the truth. Everyone has a different niche, a different style, a different subject matter, does different amount of work in their marketing, comes in with various different things. They're doing fairs and shows. They have a social following already. So there's no magical formula or one size fits all anything. Anyone that tells you that something like that does exist is lying to you. Run as fast as you can away. So we can't give you any guarantees or say this is going to work, that's going to work. What we can say is that we think we're going to give you, we're going to put aces up your sleeve and give you the best hands possible. You still have to do a ton of the work. You still are ultimately responsible for making yourself successful, but we're going to make it, your efforts supercharged. And some will.
That's my next.
Yeah.
Together with it, like, how much is my job and how much is your job? Meaning, like, will you, because I really don't like technical things whatsoever. I would love to know, like, how much do you really take from me, or do you tell me what to do and then I still have to do it?
Combination of both. So, let's just say, like, let's use the bathroom sale as an instance, right? There are emails and there are social updates in that effort, in that marketing effort that we can do for you, that you don't have to touch anything. You don't have to be involved at all. Would I prefer that you run a live art show showing the pieces and holding them up and shooting a couple of different videos and maybe shooting a couple of cell phone shots of the pieces to help with that overall marketing effort? Absolutely, right? So, you know, there's always the stuff that we can do, and then there's stuff that we need your help on. It will be most effective when we have both, right? So that's kind of like what it looks like. And you know, Robert's point earlier, I don't know if you were on for that, is so true. It's like, you know, everyone's like, well, I don't want to be on camera, and I don't want them to see what I look like, and I don't want to talk to them. And it's like, art does not sell based on the image alone almost ever. Like, people want to know who you are.
And that part doesn't bother me as much. I just kind of want to know how much is expected of me and how much do you take over?
Yeah. So we do take over as much as we can, but it's like anything else, right? Like, you know, have you ever ridden an electric bike?
No.
Okay, so it's okay. They have like pedal assist, right? And you know, the pedal assist comes in these like levels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And essentially the way that it works is, when you're pedaling, we make the bike go twice as fast as it would ordinarily, right? But you still have to pedal. I can't pedal for you, you know? I wish that we could. You know, one thing that's so awesome is, so this guy, and I'll show him again, right? So his name's Bill Stidham. Did I have a site up? What did I do with it? Did I close it? It was the website that I was showing. I'm gonna pull it up again. He has like a really interesting life where he lives in central Mexico and Guanajuato in this place called San Miguel de Allende. And he'll occasionally drive up and do shows in Texas, which is where he's from. But he was driving back to Mexico. He just did a show in San Antonio, and we ran the entire sales campaign for him, right? And it wasn't like a big deal. It was a flash sale on a Friday, right? We called it I don't have it up. We called it like Flash Sale Friday, right? And I led with an image. Let me see if I can find it on his Facebook page. I led with an image, I think, of a tote bag. Did I do a tote bag? Whatever. Anyway, what was cool is he was driving his family back to Mexico, okay? It's a long drive back to Mexico from San Antonio. It's like 18 hours or something like that. And, you know, we were able to run the entire sale for him, right? From start to finish. Was it the tote bags? And was it this one? Yeah. Flash Sale Friday, right? Why? Because I'm in a good mood and I like Friday. So why not, right? Take 25% off store-wide. In that sale, he was driving in the car with his family. He didn't have to touch anything, right? You know, he said, go ahead and run it. And he ended up doing 8 orders for $725, 4 of which were brand new customers, 3 of which were existing customers. And he didn't have to lift the finger. He was driving his family home to Mexico, right? And I look at those opportunities and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is why we are so onto something with this new program, because it's all about the consistency of how often you do those things. So we will do a ton of those things where you don't have to do anything. But on the big ones, like, I need the extra horsepower of you helping us in the effort, right? Like, I need you pedaling while we're getting the bike going faster. So that's what I would say.
So we're helping, but it's not the technical side. We're really helping by either making a video or showing you images, all that kind of stuff.
Correct. But we are going to teach you advanced techniques on Facebook and advanced techniques on Instagram that only you can do, right? That I can't do because I'm not there with you. And so is it technical in nature a little bit in terms of the social media side of things? But we try to take as much of the technical stuff off your plate as humanly possible. And we take a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's super exciting. But I do like the electric bike example, because the pedal assist, because unless you're pedaling, the thing doesn't go anywhere. That's just so true. That's kind of what the new co-pilot is. Like, I need you guys pedaling. I need you pedaling a little bit. Yes, we do, Libby. And you know what's so funny, and what I loved what Robert said earlier, and I'll get you next, Scott. I got you. We have print on demand both on the art side, so all the various different media types in the framing, but then also on the merchandise side. And the merchandise is an amazing, amazing thing. So you can decide what to offer. There are 0 minimums. There's no inventory that you have to have. You get the order, you get paid, printer gets paid, thing gets printed, gets shipped. You don't have to touch anything, nothing. So you can decide what you want to offer overnight. We're constantly adding more stuff. Currently, we have puzzles and yoga mats and calendars and photo books and throw pillows and da-da-da-da-da-da. But going back, and Scott, I'll grab you next. Going back to what Robert said, that was so smart, and I come at it from a different spot. Like, I have seen over the years with my customers, the only metric that really matters is how many new customers are you acquiring per year. How many new customers are you acquiring per year? And when you're just selling wall art, it's really hard to acquire enough new customers. And the reason is not everybody is ready to buy wall art all the time. People are only ready to buy wall art when they're in the market for wall art. Now, when you're selling these tote bags and when you're selling coasters and when you're selling photo books, I might get brought into your ecosystem. I'm like, I really like what this person does creatively, but I'm just not interested in any wall art right now. I could be waiting to sell my house. I could be moving. I could be in a divorce, whatever it is, a life change. But because you had the tote bag or the calendar or the coffee mug, I buy something inexpensive, a transaction happened, you now have my information to market to me, and for the next 365 days a year, I'm now drinking my coffee every morning out of something that has your art on it. Guess what happens when I'm ready to buy wall art? Who's going to be top of mind? It is the person that sold that item. I have built a career off digital advertising on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and YouTube and all these various different sites. The only time I can get my ads in front of your eyeballs is when you have the little cell phone in your hand, right? I look at this merchandise stuff, and a wall calendar is like a Facebook ad, except that I'm stapling it into your kitchen wall. I can't do that with a Facebook ad. You guys can, right? Like even a sticker, something as small as a sticker. And artists always like poo-poo me on this, like, I'm a fine artist. I'm not selling any of that tchotchke crap. Do you not understand? Let me know the last time you went into a museum that didn't have a gift shop. Don't worry, I'll wait. Let me know the last time that you were at an amazing concert that didn't have a merch booth. It doesn't make you look any cheaper, stupider, chintzier as an artist. All it does is it gives you the ability to acquire 50 times as many customers as you would have. One, because it's a price point under $100 in most cases. Two, it is not wall art, meaning people will make a spur of the moment, this is really cute, this is awesome. Like, wall art is really hard to sell. And like I've given, and then Scott, I want to be sensitive to your time. I could keep ranting on this for the next 20 minutes because I get so fired up about this. But you go, Scott, and then I'll finish my rant.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay, great. First question, if I sell an original piece,
yes.
But I have can I still resell the image?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so there's no issues there.
Yeah, and so like there's all these things that come up and that like people think are going to be issues, and then I look at my customer base of thousands and thousands, it's not an issue at all. The line there is like, if I own the original and you're selling prints, all it's going to do is drive the value of the original up even higher and higher and higher, right?
Oh,
that's how most people look at it and process it. The truth of it is almost no one's original art really appreciates. If you take 100,000 artists, there's like 2 whose art is really actually going to appreciate the originals. It's all bullshit. And no one ever talks about that, but it's 100% truth. Anyone wants to call me out on it, let me know. It's bullshit.
Right.
So yes, you're going to sell the prints. That's what you tell them is the line. And it's a romantic concept, but that's what I use. But 100% yes.
Okay. Also, can you advise on, you see tons of art.
Yes.
You have a sense of market value.
Yes.
Can you do advising at all on original pieces?
and this is the interesting thing is like, okay, I'm good with a camera. Okay. I understand composition, understand the rule of thirds. I'm very confident. I studied the classics in college. I like to think I know what good art is. I've learned one thing. Okay. Nobody can pick horses in this business. Nobody can pick horses. And anyone that tells you they can is lying to you, okay? Because I have seen people that I don't think understand composition, that don't understand framing, that look like they're taking nothing but snapshots, that have robust businesses on our platform, and I can't to this day figure it out. And the reality is that they're good at marketing. They have a personality. People like them. I've got a guy who I cannot tell the difference between his paintings and a photograph. He is so good with the brush. My gosh, is this guy good? Stuff's not selling at all. Because it's just not resonating. It's not, his subject matter material is just not resonating. It's got like a political thing to it. And no, there's literally no rhyme or reason to it. Like some people think that I have It's like an instant messaging service that we use for the whole company. And we have 2 channels in there, one for every sale that goes in, and then one for every sale over $5,000. And so I look at that thing the whole time. We all do, like to see what art is selling on the platform.
Sure.
There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's absolutely crazy. No one can tell you except the almighty credit card coming out of the wallet and sliding on the machine. That's it. That's the only thing they can tell you.
Okay, so pricing is very individual and very personal.
Yes.
Whatever your time is, you feel that's what I want. That's what.
Yeah. There's just a lot of factors that go into it, right? Okay. And you guys get preyed upon as a group, and you get preyed upon the juried art show. What a bunch of bullshit. One person that's never sold any art goes, oh, I'm going to jury the art, and then you're going to come in here. And then what ends up happening? Oh, I've been in 6 juried shows. Yeah, how much art did you sell last year? Well, I haven't sold any. You want to know why you haven't sold any? Because you gave all your marketing dollars to somebody that was going to jury your damn art. There's no button on the ATM machine for I was in a juried show. There's no button on the ATM machine for everybody tells me my work is awesome. There's no button on the ATM machine for all the likes and shares and comments I get. All bullshit, right? The only thing that matters is does the work sell? So these are the things that I get extremely fired up about because I don't care about any of it except your work selling. And what I was alluding to earlier, like I'm going to take thousands of my customers and apply more or less the same marketing at the same time to similar size audiences. And some of them are going to go up like this and some of them are going to be crickets. And the ones that are crickets, we're going to be able to, instead of going at this for 3 years, we're going to go at it for 3 months and we're going to say, this stuff's not selling. You need to try something else. Doesn't mean you're a crappy artist. It just means you have not created a subject matter material that's resonating with the market. And oh, by the way, so did Pablo Picasso. 45,000 unsold works in his inventory. What do you think that guy knew? Like, you can't let it discourage you, right? But you can't look for that feedback from anyone. No one can give it to you unless the credit card comes out of the wallet. I mean, that's just it, period.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. It seemed like there was one other thing I wanted to ask, but I've forgotten.
Okay, well, don't worry. Raise your hand again. I'm probably going to rant for a second longer. Okay. All right. So I'm getting a bunch of questions in the chat.
Oh, I know it. Go
ahead.
You talked at one point. You alluded to persons actively somehow developing a relationship with the customer.
Yes.
And how important that was, and I wondered if you could speak a little bit more about what that meant to you and how.
Yeah. So
what you're talking about.
What's awesome, okay, is I've been in this business for like near a decade now, right? And I was always an entrepreneur. I built businesses before this, and so I feel like now I'm at a point where earlier in my career doing this, I would read the books and have my intuition, and then these are the best practices and everything else. Now I've gone to the point where, like, because we've had so many customers for so long, I see the way that their businesses are growing, and it's staggering to me. Right now, I live in Newport Beach in Southern California, and this guy's a big deal in my town. His name's Wyland. It's like one of the best-selling artists. He's the whale guy. Writes this book called Don't Be a Starving Artist. Totally think you should all buy it, by the way. Like, no fluff whatsoever, thin, awesome. The only bummer is he well, I guess it's a good thing. He donates all the money to charity, right? So you have to buy it on his website. You can't buy like a Kindle edition or whatever. But anyway, So he wrote about it, and he talks about his collectors, okay, being the bread and butter of his business and how important it is. And Wyland defines a collector as someone that will purchase an upwards of 7+ pieces from him over the course of a lifetime. He keeps creating, prices keep going up, collectors just keep coming back and back and back. I read that like 8 years ago, and I'm like, this is so smart. This is totally the way I've seen it work in my business life. Now I've got to watch things play out with my customers, where my customers who take very good care of their collectors send them Christmas cards, like their posts on social, send them regular emails, have Zoom sessions with them one-on-one. They get to see new work before anyone else. I've seen some of my customers that will create 20 new pieces in a series. They plan on releasing it to the public next Wednesday. They have a private Zoom for their collectors, and 80% of the work is sold before the public even gets to see it because they've taken care of their collectors. And so I find the collector phenomenon to be the biggest force multiplier that this business has, that exists, full stop. And it is the whole reason why you have to be selling direct, so that you know who these people are, so that you can keep marketing to them. And it ties all the way back to the merch, because the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have. The one that you already have.
That's always been my experience.
Yeah, and the one you already have, some portion of those new customers that you acquire are going to turn into collectors. You get enough collectors, you have a base salary every single solitary year that you're creating for the rest of your life. That is just the phenomenon that this is this business. And so it's amazing. So do we have a bunch of techniques and tactics for how you take care of your collectors? Yes, we do, 100%. But that's why the selling the merch and the non-wall art is so important, right? Like I run all of my customers through this exercise. There's this thing that's like internet nonsense. You need 10x thinking, right? Essentially, shoot for the moon, aim in the stars, right? Or land in the stars thinking, meaning set these really huge, audacious goals. And by doing so, you're going to hit a normal, reasonable number, right? So for this year, I've challenged all of my customers to 10x the number of customers they acquired in the last year, right? New customers, because of this phenomenon of collectors, essentially, right? Because of this phenomenon, the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have. And so one of my customers was like, okay, I acquired 70 customers last year, and I thought that was really, really good. Great job. So now we have to acquire 700. How are we going to do it? We break the goal down into a monthly number, right? And the monthly number essentially comes down to like 2 customers a day. You look at that, and you're like, 2 customers a day? Are you out of your damn mind? You think I'm going to be selling 2 pieces of wall art a day? And I'm like, no, you're not. Almost no one we have on the platform sells 2 pieces of wall art a day. But guess what happens when you open your lineup up to stickers and mugs and calendars and this and that? You do one art show on a weekend and you could have sold 150 sticker packs or 300 sticker packs and gotten almost all the way there. Then what happens is somebody takes that sticker, 10 of those people that bought the stickers take that sticker and they go and stick it on their garage refrigerator. And then every single solitary time they get a beer, they see your work. And then 3 years later, they bought a new house, they need to outfit it, and you get a $12,000 order, right? That's how it works in the real world. And that's why we need to be acquiring as many new customers as possible all year long. And that's where the merch comes in. And it is so smart. Like, I would go as far to say the number one formula that is predictive of the revenue potential of a creative business is number of new customers acquired per year plus consistent marketing equals its revenue potential. That's it. That's it. And so if I can get all of you guys, like, you know, now that I'm going to be running the sales myself and my team, like, I'm going to cycle through every damn merchandise item that there is, period, in addition to the wall art, and then back again, right? And if I can 10x the amount of customers that my customers acquire per year, the score takes care of itself. The score takes care of itself. It's just the basic fundamentals that no one ever teaches creatives. You know, you have to learn it in the business world or the online marketing world. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's so important. And, like, you know, I sometimes try to mentor some of the younger guys, like some of the younger artists, like, that are just getting started, like out of high school, or like in their 20s. And a lot of them are like, they're so snooty about the fact, well, would never sell any of that other stuff, that crap. Are you kidding me? I'm a fine artist. I want to be known as the fine artist. It's like, dude, the mass of the mass, they're never going to change. Just, you're young. Trust me, if you just start this in your 20s, 30s, 40s, when you can do your grinding before you have a family and before you're like old and tired like me, you're going to end up having thousands and thousands and thousands of customers. That is the basis for a tremendous size art business. Like, just stay at it, you know? Anyway, I get fired up. All right. Who else? Lynette, do we still have to get the top price package to get the gallery and the wall for the website? You'd have to ask Outreach, Lynette. I don't have all the details. I don't know all the details. I just ask them or email whoever you talked to last time. Thank you for whoever told me to look at Keith. Where's Keith? Is Keith in here? No, I can't see. Mike, I can't find Keith in here, so I don't know. Is there a Keith? Let me see. I thought maybe he had his hand up. Yeah, I don't see him in here. I think he bounced out. So there we go. Okay. That was that. Harold, okay. Bob, can more one person be involved on a specific site? Yeah, all day long, Bob. You can put as many on there as you want. It can be a little difficult, those types of situations, in the sense that, and, you know, he's asking, like, can multiple artists team up and, like, treat it like a gallery? Yes, you can. But that's also, like, you know, you're getting into a marriage there, right? And if it's a significant other, no problem. If it's not a significant other, and then one person's doing all the marketing and the other person's not doing anything, it can get sticky quickly. So you have to think through those things. Go ahead, Deborah.
most of my products is jewelry, and I'm just wondering how that might translate. I could see a calendar. I do a lot of I do jewelry for my paint pouring, so I do have paintings that would be great for all sorts of fun doodads, but my jewelry wouldn't be. So how have you helped other people who do a lot of jewelry and that kind of thing?
Not that much changes at the end of the day. Like our entire website is set up to sell wall art, but it's also an e-commerce shopping cart just like all the rest of them, right? So you can sell anything. I mean, we have people that are selling books and selling classes and selling tours and selling all kinds of things. So not that much changes except for the fact that it's not really visualized on the wall. The jewelry's not, but you have all the same marketing problems that all the rest of us have. It's no different, like at all, right? So yeah, so it doesn't really change anything at all. What's the price point, starting price point on your jewelry?
Low, 2025.
Good.
And I'm told I'm underselling. So
yeah, that's another one of the things that like everybody screws up on all the time and just completely gets wrong. And we've made it so that our software fixes it. What do I mean? You heard me rant already about the non-wall art portion of the rant, which doesn't really apply to your jewelry, but everyone has to have prices 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, and over 1,000, and then non-wall art has to be part of the lineup, right? Now that's very difficult to do when you're just selling originals. Much harder anyway. It's much easier when you're selling originals and prints and merch, right? So for you, from a jewelry standpoint, those rules, those maths apply to just about everybody. Like you need to have a range of pricing to satisfy the entire socioeconomic bell curve. You get low socioeconomic status, lower middle class, upper middle class, high net worth individuals. That is the socioeconomic bell curve. And when you have prices for all of those folks on that curve, you are making sales all across that curve, right? And guess what? That socioeconomic bell curve is not a fixed entity. People are moving up and down that thing at different portions of their life, all throughout their life. So the important thing is to have a price in there for each of them. And when you do, what you find is that one, you are uniquely set up to run sales. It makes it easier to raise your prices. You don't get lowballed anywhere near as much as artists usually always do. Because they understand what the price range is. When you do get lowballed, okay, you are not utterly, totally, and completely deflated as an artist and a human being because you're like, no, I'm not going to sell you this original that I'm selling for $5,000 for $500. How dare you ask me? You instead say, oh, no, I won't sell that to you, but here's what I have in your price range, right? You'd be surprised at how empowering that is. So in your case, you need to try and figure that out, and then you need to have non-jewelry as a part of the lineup too. So, it would be a good idea to figure out what merches you can get involved and get in there too. If that makes sense. Did you mute? I think you muted again. Okay, I lost you. I don't know where you went. All right, George, go ahead. And then Robert, I see your hands up. I'll circle back to you. George, you have to unmute. So you'll have to hit the mic icon. I'll let you know when you get it. Yep, gotcha.
Can you hear me? Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm good. I've been following you on your social media for weeks now, your Instagram and others.
Awesome.
But my question is this: as an African artist, and then so my works they are African paintings. How can I make use of this platform to be able to sell my African art online? And then selling prints is not an idea that we are really familiar with in Africa, most especially in Nigeria. So how can I make use of all these platforms and all these ideas, all these brilliant ideas that you have?
Yeah,
I've read a lot online and I'm following you on Instagram. So I'm so here tonight. So I would like you to share more light on it for me, and then how can I build my website?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of different things. I'm going to mute you for a second, George, because I'm getting some feedback on the mic. A lot of what I teach is just fundamentally about marketing and business principles, right? So despite the cultural differences to how art potentially sells in Nigeria and how it potentially sells in the United States, there are a lot of those business principles and marketing principles that work universally. They just do, period, right? Now, you could leverage our software. Let's just assume you signed up in our platform to sell directly into the Western markets and European markets the prints, right? Because all of that can be done for you. It doesn't matter where you're located geographically. It doesn't make it so easy to be able to ship your originals, which obviously you would still be responsible for. So we do have a bunch of customers that will sell their stuff in the country that they're in, wherever that might be, and then they use us for the print on demand to fulfill the items into the Western markets. And that's how they run their business. We have some people that are in Australia, in New Zealand, and use us, for instance, to do all of the fulfillment to like North America and Canada, South America too, a little bit, and Europe. But it doesn't make sense for them to use it for any of the orders that they get in Australia and New Zealand because it's just so far away for shipping. It doesn't make sense. And so what they end up doing is they'll ship all their originals from where they live, and then they have a printer in either New Zealand or Australia for those orders in the South in there. So that's how you could potentially do it and go about it. And it would be interesting because I doubt that there's that many Nigerian artists that are probably seriously marketing to the Western world for very, very hard. But that would be how I would approach it and how I think about it. But thanks for following, George. I love that you're out there, and I think what is Nigeria? Is that the Screaming Eagles? Pretty good soccer team they've got. I love watching some of these African teams, except for Ghana, who's knocked the United States out of the World Cup twice. Ghana is on my list. I don't like Ghana. Yeah. All right. Thanks, George. Okay, Robert, go ahead. You had something to add.
Yeah, I'm back again. A couple things to add. What you folks are really are trying to figure out is these people have figured it out. It's one thing to be a fabulous painter or a great jeweler, but if you don't know how to market it, it doesn't mean a thing.
Yeah, it doesn't mean a thing.
Your own satisfaction, yes, but to the world, you're just somebody that they can't find.
Yeah.
So think in terms of this. If you're a jeweler, you're not just a jeweler. Think outside the box. I don't have a box. I constantly think outside the box. I drive people nuts. I talk to everybody. The reason I started doing the blogs is because I couldn't talk to everybody. I've got more people subscribing to my blogs that buy my artwork because of what I do with the blog. And when it comes to merchandise, think about this. If somebody's going to hang a piece of your work on the wall, or they're going to wear a piece of your jewelry, think about the fact they're living with your item, your merchandise, your creation.
Seeing it every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
I have certain products that I sell because people want something to live with. For example, I do scarves. I have them printed. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I found a printer in London. I get them in 3 days, shipped anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's amazing. And that used to be so hard back in the day. Like, you
couldn't do it 5 years ago.
I know.
And my point is this. When I want to do a gallery show, which I don't do too many of, believe me, it's not worth your time and effort. But everybody wants the scarf. He's right. The gift shop in the gallery is where merchandise is sold.
Yep.
Not hanging on the walls.
Yep. And it's a huge deal. And Robert, you're gonna hear me like continue, and thanks for the follow-up. You're gonna hear me continue to harp on it more and more and more, because that equation that I highlighted earlier is the difference. That is the difference between being successful and not being successful, is like number of new customers that you acquire per year. And in the world that we live in today, where everyone is distracted all the time and they're watching cat videos and they're busy with life and everything else, that if you didn't acquire the customer, they're not coming back. ever. That's how you have to operate, right? Like if you didn't get that transaction over the line and instead they just followed you on Instagram or maybe they're on your email list, like everything changes when you get the transaction, and the numbers bear this out, because the customer that you already, the easiest customer to get is the one that you already have, right? It just is. So it's so fundamental, and you don't know which one is going to turn into a collector. You're never going to be able to understand that or predict that. And so it literally just comes down to how many customers you can acquire. It's like why I'm such a strong advocate for my customers doing in-person shows and fairs. And I don't mean gallery stuff. I mean like, you know, at an art fair or art show or a brewery or whatever else, because yes, it is a pain in the butt to print out all your work, to set up, to sit in a booth or set up a table, but done right, you also have the ability to acquire 50, 60, 70, 80 customers a weekend if you're doing it correctly. And it's like those numbers start compounding very, very quickly when you're marketing consistently. You know, it's just a phenomenon. I have one of the, there's functionality in the back end of the website that when someone orders from you, there's the customer name, and you can mouse over the customer name and instantaneously see how many orders they have. And like on that sale that I ran for Bill Stidham, the guy that was driving to Mexico, I mean, I saw one guy, he had ordered on there and it was his 27th order. Like the guy had ordered from him 27 times. Like there are just a bunch of people that just do this. Collectors are, God bless them. They're, you know, it's not in every niche or industry, right? Like, you know, some people collect things, some people don't collect others. And when it works, it just works, and it's a glorious thing. And it all starts on how many customers you acquired per year. And almost no one talks about that metric. Like if I asked all of you guys, how many new customers did you acquire last year? How many can answer that question instantaneously? You know, if you've never tried to sell anything, obviously the number is 0 and it's easy enough. But most people don't have that figure off the top of their head, right? They don't know, right? Go ahead, Scott. You'll have to unmute again. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, I got you.
If I have an archived image that from past, I can still sell that image, right?
Oh, yeah.
On your
all
platforms.
day long. Yes, all day
the
long.
original just can't be available, but it can be sold in other forms, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other question is, say I did watercolor and I'm willing to sell it as a giclée. Do you guys do all the framing and everything from that end?
We can, and I can get into that and talk about that like on kind of a high level. So, you know, the websites offer frames, and there's like the visualization of the frames and that whole thing. But the dirty little secret about frames is that no one really buys them online. Not really.
Oh, okay.
Not really. Like, you know, if I was to like go through the number of names of folks that spent like an inordinate amount of money trying to crack the how am I going to sell frames successfully online, like all the biggest frame companies in the world have spent hundreds of millions of dollars trying to get it to work. And do you know what they found out? Nobody wants to spend that much money on a frame. They just want to go and take it to their local shop so they can see it, right? Where there's a little bit of a change to that is that's if you're just saying the world's your oyster, you can have whatever frame you want, right? But if you're one of these artists that says like, this is how I envision my work to be framed, this is the frame that it comes in, that can be very successsul. Because then you're just saying, you're just saying,
good to know that.
Yeah, this is it. What do you use the golf cart for? Do you actually golf cart, or you just drive around the neighborhood?
Oh, I have 2 golf carts actually. One in my cabin where I do a lot of outdoor painting, and I'm here in St. Louis where they allow it on the street. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
bar hopping.
Yeah, the reason I bring it up is where I live in the desert. There's this town, Indian Wells, where you allow them, and my mother-in-law has one. And I was just there this morning. I just came back this morning, and the batteries finally died, and I couldn't get it up the driveway. So I saw your one in the back, and it was like it's like a super old one. So I have to get new batteries.
It's great for bar hopping.
Yes, great for everything. It makes everything more fun, especially when it's nice out. Okay. All right, guys, I'm running out of steam, so I think we'll leave it there for today. Good talk, though. I really enjoyed that. Thanks for putting up with me and for my video camera not working for half of it and all the rest. If anybody wants more information, the demo forum on the site, they'll put you through an hour tour, show you all the bells, all the whistles, all the pricing, all the packages, all the numbers, all the stuff that I don't know. They're doing 2 group demos this week, one on Wednesday and one on Friday. So you can go just like this, and it'll just be the tour of all the bells, all the whistles, all the ins, all the outs, all that stuff. And they'll walk you through all the pricing and all the packages and all the rest of it. So that's what they would do. But guys, number of new customers acquired per year plus regular marketing equals the revenue potential of the business. Just because you created something and it doesn't sell right away or doesn't sell extremely well does not mean you're a crappy artist, okay? It just means you come up with something that the market does not like. It's how quickly you can create something else and try a different look and get that to market. And it turns out all the most successful artists in the world have already all known that and been doing that for years and years and years and years. That's just how it goes. No one talks about that enough. So those are a lot of the themes that you're going to see me continuing to visit again and again and again. I go live all the time on Facebook and on Instagram, YouTube. So anytime you see any one of the streams and you want to pop on and you have a question, something that you forgot to ask this time, or you need a follow-up, or you want some insight, just ask. I see all of them, and I love answering all those questions. So more than happy to do that. But other than that, I wish you guys all have a phenomenal week, and hope to see you on a future session or on the inside. And yeah, have a great week, everybody.